Hi, and welcome to a special Father's Day episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton show with my beautiful co-host, the philanthropist, Yolanda M. Smith.
You are so smooth now. You say that like it just runs like it's smooth like
Let me
butter.
get that Barry White voice.
Smooth
Yolanda
like
M. Smith.
Butter. Happy Father's Day.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
So we're doing a special Father's Day. We're going to do some stats, some hypothetical questions and answers. But more importantly, we're going to talk about the importance of being a father on this Father's Day weekend. I want to let you start it off.
Well, I think it's super important to have this conversation. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, those that even function as father figures for others, even if you don't have your own children, because I think men play an important role in terms of being able to mentor, step up, and be present and have an opportunity to play a role in a child's life.
Right.
Because a father don't take a mother can't take the place of a father. We're going to start right there, and I've had opportunities where I was a single parent.
Right.
And I think that probably one of the things that I did that I shouldn't have did is tried to overcompensate.
Meaning what?
Meaning that you probably bought them stuff or allowed them to get away with things just because you just kind of felt bad that, the father figure wasn't there and didn't want them to feel like they were missing out on anything, or just just pure lack of ignorance of not knowing what to do, from that standpoint. But I think that today it's all about saluting the fathers.
That's right.
And when we say father, it doesn't necessarily mean biological. It's those men that have chosen to step up and really play a role,
and the ones that want to step up and for some reason aren't given the opportunity to stand up. Like to give them shots out too and let them know that hang in there, be strong.
We see you.
We see you.
We see you. Yes. Yeah. I think that we just we looked at some statistics. So this is kind of interesting because when you think about father, you've got your two-parent households, you've got single parent household where perhaps the father can be a part of the life but don't live primarily with the child, so sees the child maybe on a schedule ordered by the court, or it could be an arrangement that is made between the two parents if there's a positive co-parenting situation. But also, a lot of fathers today are taking custody of their children and becoming the sole support system for the child. Yeah. And statistics show that right now, and this is a 2020 statistic, so it's a couple years old, but that at that point in time, it was about 16% where there was single father parenting, 16%. And so what that means is that 1 out of 6 single parenting arrangements is a male, a father, taking charge and custody of his children.
Does it just what's the statistics before that? But let me rephrase that. Why do you think, I'm coming hypothetically, that there's a change all of a sudden?
Well, some of the stuff I read equated it to several different things. There's there's been a lot of societal changes. Mm-hmm. One is, we could go and make a bunch of educated guesses at this. Okay, so
hypothetically.
So just don't hold. Yeah. I read some things talking about financial reasons. There's societal changes where, in today's society, maybe the woman doesn't feel like she has to be the primary caregiver for the child. And if their arrangement or marriage or relationship changes, then she's comfortable with the father taking the primary predominant role as the parent. I think that, you've got a lot of other situations that come to bear. And in this day and age, it could be anything from drug use, homelessness, maybe financial reasons that the mom can't take care of them, because this was interesting. the statistics also showed that when it relates to fathers caring for their children, they tend to have more income and more education than single women.
Really?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. Now, I haven't dug deep into it, but I just did a little bit of research to see what was out there. And not that that means anything or extrapolates across the whole population, but they saw that as one of the
contributing factors,
differentiators, right? Where. So, I think there could be a lot of factors related to that. I mean, now more men even are stepping up and saying, no, I want custody. I feel like I would be the better parent. And if you go and you fight it in court and you win, you get the child.
It's not as easy as it appears on paper.
Well, tell me about it. I mean, because if you've been a single mom, you already know. So I think a lot of things that we have lived through and have experienced throughout lives, men are now experiencing. And so I think
what do you mean? But it's pretty much a system that's designed more in favor of the female versus the father anyway. So it's not like, it's almost like you have a handicap coming out of the gate.
Well, I think that goes back to the psychology of parenting and the mother being the nurturing being. And you probably would have psychologists suggest that, the mother needs to be in a dominant role. I mean, think about it. That baby came out of that mother's womb. That mother may have nursed the baby, different things like that. And if possible, the mother sort of carrying that nurturing role in a dominant way. You would have said, most courts would have said, well, if all possible, we want to keep the kid with the mother, right?
Right.
But there's circumstances now that would say that's not what's best for the child. Right. So I think that, and again, that goes back to just maybe some of the more traditional norms in life because, of the way we were raised. And you started out with a 2-parent household. Typically, if there was a split, the mother always kept the kids.
Yeah.
So it's changing now. But again, that and I don't know who said that should have been the rule. It's just kind of the way it was, right?
I think that was illegal. I think it goes back to what you just said. It just seems the right thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, because the kids want to be with their mommy. You know what I mean? Daddy's good too. But now, I mean, I can take you as an example of being a single father. You've been a single father for several years, and your daughter wants to be with you.
17.
Yes. What did I say? Many?
17 years.
Yeah, and she wants to be with you. I mean, so it all depends on how the kid is kind of raised in the environment that they're in. I mean, she's raised up. She knows her dad. She wants to be with her dad. I mean, I know several men that have been in that situation. So I mean, we celebrate you for those that are stepping up and really taking active roles. It's nothing better than a father's love. I'm just here to tell you, my dad passed away in 2017, but to have him there at key moments, to walk me down the aisle, to be there when my first child was born, to tell me things are gonna be all right. I was bad as I don't know what, and my daddy would figure out. He did. I loved him.
Who did the discipline in your house? Your mom or your dad? Well, you got to
remember that the household didn't quite run that way. So they got divorced. There was a split, and my dad, who I call my dad, him and my mom never married.
Okay.
And later in life, I found out he was not actually my biological dad. But again, that was the father that I knew.
How did that affect you as growing up? Like, you find out later in life that was.
Well, I didn't find out till I was 50-something years old. So at that point, I had already grew up.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm just like, what do you mean that's not my father? You know what I mean? But that goes to tell you, there's a difference. Just like I tell people, there's a difference in family and relatives. Meaning you can create your family. It does not have to be your blood relatives.
Okay.
Sometimes our relatives we don't necessarily gel with or we're cohesive with. Or sometimes if the person that I don't want to just say sperm donor, but the person.
That's what it is, a sperm.
Okay, well,
yeah.
that may not be someone in that child's life, but let's say someone else comes along and takes on that role and responsibility. Then to me, that's the daddy. That's the father. You know what I mean? That's that person who's there to pick her up or him up when they scrape their knee. And that's the person that's going to teach them how to ride the bike. That's the person that's encouraging them to keep going. You know, making sure they're taken care of. You know, they got a roof over it. I mean, that person, that may not be a biological person. In a lot of cases it is. Mm-hmm. And we love it when it's that way. But just the fact that we do have to also say we appreciate the men that have stepped up to help the woman, because if you love the woman, you got to take everything that comes with that. You don't get her and then not the package.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
To elaborate on that, what about the men that have the child that get caught up in the situation to where they can't be part of the child because of the mom not allowing that man to do what he wants to do, which is be the father?
See, are you really going there today?
Yeah, I'm going there.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Somebody has to take a stand for the fathers that want to be a father. Well,
this is why I'm saying oh, geez, because that is one of the things that probably gets under my skin more than anything.
The alienation, the child support wranglers.
But that's when we put our self-interest ahead of the child's interest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if that mom is not allowing the father to see the child and the father is doing what they can to be present and be a participant in that child's life, and you're just not allowing it, and there's no valid reason that they shouldn't be a part of that life other than you mad at them, you don't like them, they cheated on you, you're scorned, these sorts of things. Because you know, you got that side of the coin, and then you got some that you got the deadbeats too that just make these babies and don't want to have anything to do with them, right? So, but when it's that situation, that hurts my heart because we're hurting the child. And sometimes we have to be mature enough to put our own feelings to the side and allow the man to be present in his child's life when he wants to be.
I'm glad you said it, because before you came, we had a guy here and we was addressing an issue because he was like, well, Dre, what are you going to do to us? I'm going to do a Father's Day thing. And I didn't have anything like really scripted out about it. I just wanted to acknowledge the fathers that want to be a part of the kid's life. And he shared a story with me about an individual several individuals that wasn't allowed to see their kid, but they was being hassled by the court. They paid their child support and all this, and the mom was basically being child support wranglers and taking the money, and the system wasn't helping them, and long story short, the guy wound up committing suicide.
Oh, geez.
Because all he wanted to do was see his kids. I'm getting a little emotional.
Okay,
so the other guy tried to see his kids after lengthy child supports, and the mom only showed up during times of court hearings to get more money and so forth. And the kid reached out to him and said, what did he tell me? The kid said to him, you're not my you're not my father, my mom, blah, 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 blah. Brainwashed the kid.
I mean,
so I guess this show today, you know, I didn't really know the narrative on what I wanted to go with it, but it's kind of like it's getting to me emotionally because I went through this.
Yes, you did.
And I'm thinking, this is Father's Day. Women need to understand the importance of a father in a child's life and learn to put their scornness
or differences
to the side and say, what is the impact on that child later in life? Now, just imagine that kid telling that guy, you're not my father, when the guy clearly trying to fight for that kid, according to the guy that was there.
Well, I mean, you can imagine the hurt that would be. But, you know, as parenting is difficult in and of itself. So to create these extra layers of resistance, of tension, is equally, I mean, if not, it's more, it just makes it that much more difficult. And in this day's environment, we find that these children are growing up so different than, maybe my generation.
Yeah.
And they just don't have that level of toughness and mental soundness that we had to be able to deal with things. And so it's not good.
He didn't know what to tell him. He didn't know what to tell him.
We cannot be doing this. And I just say to women, if you are one of those people that have found yourself in this situation, change. Just take a minute and just change. Just put your feelings to the side and prioritize your child. Because at the end of the day, if you want a healthy, child that can be productive in society, you don't want to jack with their mental health.
Yeah.
The mind is fragile, and you start creating these narratives and really creating situations where they're finding it difficult, and then identity, because that's a big one. Then your identity becomes in question. Mm-hmm. So your kids going to school, and then they see other people and they have their dads and they don't have their dad, but they don't have their dad only because, not because the dad don't want to be there, but because you mad at them. Mm-hmm. That's not cool. Well,
that's why that guy, he was like, please reach out and tell, kind of like, he's like, Drake, can you just share my story? And I said, yeah, I can do that, because I feel where you're coming from. Like, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor, but I do no. But I do know the impact of generational curses.
Yeah.
And let me share down my story to Father's Day. My father is a great father. Love my father to death. My mom never spoke ill about my father. Never spoke ill. However, my dad was a Rolling Stone. He got tons of kids. I heard bad things from the other side, from the women. Mm-hmm. But at the time, I didn't, like you said, I couldn't process all this because I never heard my mom speak ill of my father.
Gotcha.
But when I was seeing it victimized on the other ends, as I got older, it started to plague with me. So I remember asking my father this particular question, and I said, what was my mom to you? And that literally messed him up. Literally, he had to answer that question. And when he told me, I started to understand. He started to share his story. It was a very impactful story, because he grew up with a mother and a father.
Right.
My grandfather was a preacher. And I used to ask him, I said, well, how can you have so many kids and not be a part of their lives? And he broke down and told me a story. And one thing that I said as growing up that I never wanted to...
Well, I want to know the story. How you gonna not tell the story?
Okay, well, the story was he always had a job. He worked for the city, but he also did things to survive. Just put it like that. Mm-hmm. Things to survive. He was there monetarily, money-wise. But remember, my mom died when I was really young.
Yes.
So there was no time to really know who my father was. I had to learn as I got older. So I was fortunate. I got to come to the city, Indianapolis, and travel and things. I did things that I guess most kids couldn't do. I got to travel. My dad made sure of that, gave me money and did whatever. But the older I got, I really wanted to know who he was.
Right.
And there was no mother there to share it. My mother's side of the family did not know him that well. I remember my senior year, the most difficult part was my senior year. And I was devoted, like, athlete of the year. I remember they call it National Signing Day now. When I signed my scholarship
to college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was nobody there. And I got angry. Because I remember calling him, and I was like, "Hey, man, this is like important. Will you come? Because at that particular year, there was only like maybe 3 of us got scholarships, and the venom literally came out of me. You know what I mean? I was like, I think I shared a little bit of this. I was like, what the fuck am I doing this for? There was like really no role model there. There was nobody during the summer and stuff. He was there. It was like, pick him up, take him back, pick him up, take him back, going with life.
Yeah.
And, but to move forward, when he explained the relationship with my mom, it softened me. Along with therapy, it softened me because even my father is a handsome guy, so I'm not mad at him for women flocking at him, coming around him. He's a handsome guy.
But you have to have some self-control, Andre.
Yeah. So I was like,
Lord
okay,
have mercy, help us.
Got a chance to get a chance to know him because it's kind of like what we talk about even with the Brandon. I can't judge you until I know your story.
That's true. I
can't judge until I know your story, and I have to determine if I want to, what they say, be like my father or be like Mike. What imperfections did I see in my father, and which strong perfections did I see in my father, and then which of those attributes? This is a generational curse thing that I did not want to see.
What do I want to break, and what do I not want to be? Yes,
right.
No, yeah, definitely.
And
because we do have, and this is what people need to understand. It's a choice. Even though you grew up seeing things a certain way,
don't mean you have to act on it. Yeah.
I remember even as a kid watching TV. And seeing different things and said, ooh, I want to do that. I want to see that. I want to do that. And I'll give you a perfect example. So when I got to high school, I was able to meet some people, and they had boats and would be out on the water. So I'd go out on the water, and I learned to water ski. And I would come back and share my adventure because I'd be so excited. And the first thing they say is, black people don't water ski. What you call yourself doing? Why you water skiing? We don't water. What do you mean black people don't water ski?
Can you swim?
I could swim.
Black people can't swim.
Well, but there are black people that can swim.
Yeah.
Again, we know that based on the neighborhoods, there weren't always pools there.
Right.
But to make that generalization like we do, that black people don't swim, again, that's us limiting ourselves. So I get what you're saying, but then why can't we change the narrative? Why does it have to stay the same as it was years ago and years ago and years ago?
That's what that guy asked me to talk about today, and it's that generational curse that as a father, I wanted to change. I wanted to be a part of my kids' life. I wanted to share in their ventures. I wanted to be there when they were born. I wanted to pull them out of the womb. I wanted to make sure that I knew the importance of a family and responsibility. That was key to me. As a father, the greatest gift that I think I could have ever had was to be there during the birth of my child and to hear them holler the word dad.
Well, they didn't do that when they came out the first time.
No, when they got older.
I was going to say,
when they got older.
What kind of kid you were?
Super kid.
Coming out. Daddy!
Super kid. And I tell you another troubling part, and I can relate to what the guy was saying. I remember when I was fighting for custody of my daughter, and I remember somebody telling me, just walk away and just pay support. That literally fucked me up, and I'm thinking,
so they just saying give up.
Yeah.
Don't fight for your child. But, on the flip side, I know a mother that did that and gave up, and I kind of looked at her and was like, why did you give up? Why wouldn't you just keep fighting? That part I didn't understand even as a mother. So I think it can go both ways because I think, I don't know. But again, hers was a situation where the court ordered it, but I would be like, if you really didn't believe that was the right decision, I would have been fighting. But you got to remember something, and you know this better than most. It takes resources to fight.
It takes money.
Okay, money.
That's called resources. What it is,
money.
It takes money,
and the system is not.
It's not favorable for men.
It's not designed to be fair in a lot of cases.
And I think if women, and I'm not badgering women, what I'm saying is, today we're trying to stop this bullshit, this generational curse. You're talking about the father to the kid and the dad didn't do this and blah, blah. Let that bullshit go and know what you're feeding that child. The identity crisis that can happen with that child, the emotional trauma. Don't sit on your grave later and go, I never should have did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the last couple of hours, I had so many men calling me, sharing their stories. And what was even tripped out was I went on social media and saw on a Instagram, there's tons of celebrity men that went through this.
A lot of people go through
who are now coming forward. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention their names because I don't have that right to do that. But I was amazed that these were celebrities whose mother isolated them and told them all kind of bad things about their father to the point that they didn't want to see their fathers.
Oh, absolutely. You can sway a child. Think about how impressionable children are. But I think the flip side of it is that you do have some relationships out here that are healthy, and I hope that people can look at those relationships and be able to role model after them. Make sure we really celebrate the guys. I'm sorry, there's probably the reservations probably aren't full in the restaurants. They're usually not on Father's Day, but Chick-fil-A is offering free.
I know you're not getting ready to take me to Chick-fil-A. Because I'm going to tell you what I want for Father's Day.
Chick-fil-A.
Cube steak. I want cube steak.
Cube steak?
Oh, my God.
You like that in gravy?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my
yes.
God. So what do you like with it? Because I'm going to tell you what I like with my cube steak.
Mashed potatoes.
Weird. Okay.
Sometimes I like a good macaroni and cheese if it's really cheesy. I like
your cube steak?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's in a salad with croutons. I love croutons. And green beans, lightly seared, brown.
You like them crunchy?
Yeah, with almonds.
With almonds.
That's my Father's Day meal. Boom, hands down. Or filet mignon.
Okay. Now, I like my...
You didn't ask me what to drink.
Because you're going to drink... You get some milk.
Heck no. This might sound funny. Hypnotic.
Hypnotic?
Oh, my God, yeah.
What's that going to do to you?
It's just to mellow everything out.
Oh, okay. It'll mellow it out.
Yeah,
okay.
A little bit of fruit juice, a little bit of cognac, but I don't have to mix it up. It's already
mixed.
It's already there in the blue bottle.
Is it real sweet? No, yeah. You don't
Nobody
He's
has
so hypnotic. He don't even know if it's sweet or not.
It's just the right mix with the cube steak.
I like cube steak too, but let me tell you how I like it. See, I go old school back to how my mother fixed it. See, some things just get ingrained, right? She used to fix cube steak with gravy. We would have peas because I like peas, and we would have rice because then the gravy goes over the rice.
Yeah, okay.
And we would have biscuits. I loved it. That was a good meal. But that's just like
which biscuits did you have? Did you have the flaky biscuits, the triple type of biscuit, Pillsbury? Did she make them from scratch?
She didn't make them from no scratch. Love you, Mom, but you didn't make them from no scratch. She probably tried a couple times to make them. She wasn't a baker. She could cook, but she wasn't a baker. You know what? I don't even remember. I just remember we had biscuits. But now when I grew up, I do remember I always liked the flaky biscuits. I hate to tell you.
Nothing like tearing them apart.
I know. That was a flaky biscuit, and then I just want to rub it in the strawberry jelly. I'm a strawberry girl, not a grape girl. I probably had grape as a kid though,
I like raspberry
because we didn't have strawberry jelly.
Yeah, I like raspberry jelly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's your Father's Day meal. Okay.
What's your favorite Father's Day meal when your father was alive? What was his favorite? What was the one thing about your father that you remember to this day and go, holy crap?
The thing that I remember about my father the most is that he was a man that could truly find the good in anything. And so I remember one time getting in trouble, and I'm not going to get into details about it.
You're going to tell me off camera.
Off camera. But I got into some trouble, right? And I remember my father literally coming to my rescue to say, no, she probably just got impatient and something, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I'm going to tell y'all. So 18 years old, I was about 17 or 18. 18 because I actually when
You better tell the truth and be authentic.
I got in trouble, y'all. Okay, so I shoplifted. I took something, and I got caught because I wasn't a good shoplifter. I didn't know how to do it.
Was you with other people?
No, I was by myself.
Okay.
But I wanted this blouse, and the blouse was so incredibly expensive. The bad part about it is that I actually had money in my purse and a credit card. There was no reason to do that other than I just
sure
made.
You wasn't a kleptomaniac?
I just made up my mind I wasn't going to pay that price for it. But anyway, I got in trouble, right? My dad rationalized it, and he was like, oh, she just probably got impatient and didn't want to wait for somebody to ring her up. And I mean, I just loved him for that. This man would find the good in anything. And, maybe it's because I was his daughter, but whatever. It was any situation. That was him. He didn't like confrontation.
Okay.
And that was for sure. But one of the things is that he would always look for the good in something. And that's a remarkable trait, because I know so many people that will go straight for the negative. People will never forget what you did well, but boy, they can tell you what you did wrong. Go to the negative, go low, go low, go low. He was one of those people that I would say truly went high. No question. I'm almost to sometimes I'd be like, okay, now Daddy, surely you ain't that.
So what are some of the valuable things that you've learned from having a father? Because there's always those things that we look back on. I know that's one of them, but what's the things that you apply every day of your life?
Well, no, I think you look at him and it was about the work ethic. It was about how you treat people. I mean, he wasn't extravagant. He was a very social person. People loved him, and there was a reason they liked him. You know what I mean? He was one of those people that was fun and nice to be around, but he was a very giving and generous individual. He was very generous. I mean, till his last days, he gave. And so I think and if I look at me and who I am, most people would say she's generous. She's a giving person, and sometimes to a detriment, because then people can take advantage of you. But I think it's one of those things that I think it was just really, if you do certain things between him and my mom, life will be okay for you. You'll come out of it. And it's really about how you treat people, making sure that you put in the work, you'll get what you need out of it. I mean, he worked at Harvester for years.
International
Harvester for years and years and years. Yeah. He even got my brother on there, and it used to be called something else. I can't remember. They changed the name or whatever, but yeah, he worked there for years. But I mean, he was that kind of person. He'd get people jobs. He'd help you out. He'd give you people money. He'd give you the shirt off his back. He was just that generous of a person. But it was kind of funny, because even when people would screw him over, he wouldn't get mad. He'd just be that person. Oh, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. It's all right. So I think he was one of those two that lived life that he didn't get himself all riled up about anything. I don't recall ever, and maybe my memory's bad, but I don't recall ever seeing him angry and yelling or irate about it. I don't recall that at all, ever.
Did you grow up around individuals that did not have a father figure in the house?
Well, he wasn't in my house. You got to remember, I didn't have a father. I mean, then my stepdad came along when my mother remarried, and he was in the house. But by then I was probably close to 13, about 13 or so. So at that point I thought I was grown. That man couldn't tell me nothing.
How important, how impactful was it to have a father or fathers in your life? And I'm going to let the audience know where I'm going with this, because in order to understand the importance of a father, you don't necessarily need to listen to me, but you need to listen to the impact from a female.
Well, I think I wouldn't be one. I can't give you what it felt like to have a dad in the house all the time, right? To grow up with your mother and father. I think we were, for the early part of my childhood, my mother functioned as a single parent. Again, she did not remarry until I was like 12 or 13 years old. So at that point, I'm already close to teenager, and I've got ideals already formed in my head. I mean, he was a nice man for the most part. At that point, I don't know that I was interested in having another father figure. Let me just say that. I mean, he provided, did what he did, but having a relationship, I can tell you this, having a relationship with my father, having that father figure, was important to me because it made me feel safe. It made me feel protected. I know I could go to him and talk to him about anything, and he was understanding. Whereas my mother might have been more, as he probably should have been, looking at me to say, okay, where's your accountability for this? What have you done? Blah, 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 blah. But he was very understanding. So I think, when you think about what a man provides for a family and how that shows up, yes, some of it can be the provider piece, the money, the financial. Okay, yeah, we'll give you that. But I think it's so much deeper than that. It's that emotional security. If you think about a woman, the first person she falls in love with typically is her dad. That's the first love that she has of a man, is her dad. And so how he performs, how he shows up in her life dictates a lot of things. Because let's talk about this on the other flip side. If you're in an abusive household, it can be a 2-parent household and it still don't have to be a healthy household.
Right.
If that's a dysfunctional household, then your daughter, your son may see things and see behaviors that they normalize because it just happens all the time in their household.
It's healthy.
And it's not healthy.
Right.
So when you see abuse and you see women getting involved in domestic abuse, if you see alcoholism and certain things like that, you hear about those stories too. And then it goes to not only some cases physical abuse, but emotional abuse is even more traumatic.
Yes.
I'm telling you, and that's where a lot of that gaslighting and control and mind power comes into play. A lot of narcissistic behaviors. If you've got a narcissistic type of personality in the house, male or female, that's dangerous. I mean, there's a lot of dynamics. So just having a 2-parent household does not make a healthy child. Instead, if it's a 2-parent household that is dysfunctional and not healthy, that can be just as damaging as having a single-parent household and a female trying to play the role of mother and father, or the father trying to play the role of father and mother. You know what I mean?
Right.
It goes a long way, and I think that's where we get into it takes a village. Right. It does take a village, but I think that, today it's about celebrating the dads, celebrating the fathers, and we've got some remarkable role models out here. We've got remarkable men who have shown what it's like to stand up and be present and really help to raise their kids, to set the tone of the household and what they want for the family dynamic and so forth. And we just must applaud them because,
Right.
You often hear about the deadbeat situations or the this or the that, but you rarely hear about the ones that are doing a phenomenal job.
Standing ovation.
Because
Yeah.
who wrote the book to parenting? Dr. Seuss or whatever his name. I mean, come on now. It's
Is it Dr. Seuss?
Whatever, Spock or whoever.
Dr. Spock, that's it.
Yeah, whoever wrote
Yeah.
it. But the reality is there's no playbook on how to parent.
There's
It's
definitely no playbook
lot of
on
trial and
how
error.
to be a father.
Yes, and
Parent.
you've been remarkable. I got to take a second
thanks.
just to acknowledge you because you've had your daughter since she was a baby, and literally you've been through a lot in terms of constantly in and out of the court system. I don't know anybody, and this is the honest to God truth, that has been into the court system more than you. I mean, it has taken financial toll, emotional tolls, and everything. But dude, you are a fighter.
But check
you
this out.
never
It's so
gave
funny
up.
when you go in the courtroom
And they
you
know
go,
your
and they
name.
know your name.
Hi, Andre, you back?
They don't even say that. Say the one guy, the bailiff. He says, why are you always in here?
It's crazy because she's dragging you in for one thing or another. But that's when people, again, let go of that anger. There is power in letting go.
Yeah,
As a matter of fact, I just wrote an article on letting go, the power of letting go, release to succeed. If you want a copy of it, I'm going to give you a free copy of it. info@branding4success.com. brandingforsuccess.com. I literally just got this thing hot off the press, and I wasn't even going to mention it.
You need to give it to me so I can post it.
Literally, I'm saying we can just put it out there because I don't want to make money off of this. But we hold on to things that we cannot control and allow it to consume us. Anytime you want to hurt somebody else, there's something innately wrong about that.
Right.
Just let them go. Let God take care of that. Don't you hold on to it. It's not your fight. It's not your fight. The Bible says, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. What are you doing trying to make it happen? That's our problem.
And
we always
especially
step
when
in.
you have children involved. And I tell the men out there, the fathers that share with me today what they're going through. I've been down that road. I can share stories with you, man, that you would be like, there's no way that could have happened. I just got a friend that it just happened to. I remember.
Well, but that's why you need to write a book. You really do. You need to write a book.
But the tricked out part is people say
chronicle that piece. Just chronicle
Yeah.
that piece of it. You can leave out all the bodybuilding and the this
Yeah.
and that. If you just did the journey of a single father, there's your title. That's your title. Your book is called The Journey of a Single Father.
I'm gonna write that down.
Fighting for life.
Somebody said, when I shared my story with somebody, just a little bit of it, I remember them saying, I don't believe that. And you know what happened? It happened to them. And they called me and they go, what do I do? I said, be prepared to spend a lot of money because the system is set for a female. And I feel bad for the guy because I know he's a good father. Good father. And I said, you about to get into a fight of your life. Fathers, this ain't the bash individual, but sometimes fathers need that platform because we're men and we feel like that we're not supposed to let people know what we're going through when we're trying to fight for our children. Dude, fight for your child. Mothers, let the anger go. It's something way more bigger. Look at the impact you're gonna have on generational curse. Well, my mom said that you wasn't there. My mom said that you didn't do that. Put that bullshit aside. Respect the father.
We need to be concerned about the generation coming up and do everything we can to be supportive and ensure that our young people coming up in today's society, they've got enough to
on
fight
their plate.
about.
Yeah,
they got enough to fight about. They don't need it within the parental structure. They don't need it in the parental structure. Life alone is going to kick their ass.
Yeah,
and they got to get out here and fight. And our black boys especially got to get out here and fight. So the last thing we need is tearing up the structure internally, so that by the time they get to the external environment, they are already messed up.
Yeah.
and then got to take another beating from somebody else. We just got to do better. We do. But happy Father's Day, because we just love the fathers.
Yeah, and thanks to guys today for sharing their stories with me. I did my best to try to bring some awareness to what you guys are going through. Yeah. This is Father's Day.
Get your free Chick-fil-A.
Get your free Chick-fil-A.
It is free. You can go to Chick-fil-A and get a free meal, for real.
Remember, subscribe, like, share, post.
Comment.
If you have some topics that you want us to cover, by all means, send them to us and we'll do our best to showcase.
Where they going to reach you at? Aha, I did one of your numbers, didn't I?
You know, sometimes.
Where can they send those topics?
They can send them to the Andre The Beast Crayton Show at gmail.com.
The Andre The Beast Crayton Show at gmail.com.
You know, sometimes my mind goes. Like right now, my knees are like hurting, so I know that the medication is wearing off. So before that happens, I'm gonna go. You know, you're taking me somewhere to eat the Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna enjoy that Father's Day sandwich.
He said, I thought I had to make steak, but look,
hey,
you ain't my daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
This has been another exciting special episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show.